Hello and welcome to Minor X. My name is Angelo, and today I am joined by Quinn, Amy, and Annie. So one of the things that we like to do on the Minor X podcast is highlight lesser-known items in the library's collection. Many people still think of public libraries as only having books and DVDs, but on today's episode, we're going to be discussing some of the board games you can check out. Board games can be found on the second and third floor, and we have everything from classics like Scrabble and Monopoly to party games like Telestrations and complex and competitive games like Dominion. Annie is in charge of the board game collection here, so she could tell you a little bit more about it.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite collection. Well, actually, I have a lot of really awesome collections, including Library of Things, but that kind of fits in as a thing that you can check out that you don't have to buy at home. It kind of saves you shelf space and money. And we have 143 adult board games and or puzzles. And this includes stuff that is currently in the pipeline. So it's going to be coming out. It's already out or it's coming out and you can place a hold on it now. For the kids collection on the second floor, we have 119. So there's really something for everyone, for families. We have ones that are like two-player only exclusive. We have a lot of easygoing party games, tabletop RPG style. We have the classics, like Angelo said, including things that you probably might not have. We have Mahjong, both American and Chinese sets. And we have what I would call modern classics, like Pandemic and Settlers and Ticket to Ride. And then we have, for really hobbyist board gamers, we have the really crunchy, complex side. Not as many of these, but also some classics like Robo Rally. We have Dune Imperium, Wingspan, Scythe, Viticulture, and coming soon is also Twilight Imperium. So that's the perfect game to check out from the library, as long as you can bring back everything so that other people can play too. The one I wanted to start with is just a really adorable one that I was introduced to at our last game night called Abduction. And the game comes with a little UFO with all these different colored ducks. And they're tiny and cute. And then you put them randomly in your pawns, and you draw cards that allow you to change the configuration of the ducks. If you can get certain configurations of ducks, then you can get one of three shared gold cards that everybody has. So you only put down 3 gold cards for the whole community at one time. So the decision space is really limited. The cards tell you what to do. It's a very fun, easy game. It also makes you kind of have to think ahead to what you want to shape, what shapes you want to do. You can sabotage others. I think you could probably play a game in 15 minutes if you're fast. And it also plays up to a large amount of people. So I think we played with 6.
And how easy it is to learn it?
Very, very easy. Yeah, basically you just learn it by starting.
Okay.
And then if you have maybe 5 minutes, not even that, to learn. It's one of those games that anyone can play. Sometimes people don't feel like their brain is ready for a big game, even a mid-complexity game. This is one of the ones that you can kind of talk through and just socialize through. Oh, okay. Yeah, you can have conversations. And other ones like that are Quirkle or Tsuro, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's always sort of the barrier to entry for getting friends to do a game night is, I've got to spend 30, 45 minutes explaining this game to them. So that's always nice when there's something simple and quick for them to get. I was watching a board gaming YouTuber that I check out sometime, and he was talking about this study where they measured brain receptors for board games, and I don't know how accurate this is, but the people were most excited in the study when they were opening the board game, and then that excitement plummeted as soon as they had to read the rules.
Oh, yeah.
So it's always nice when you find something that is learned by doing, and it's pretty quick to get into.
How many duck pieces were in this game?
Oh, I don't know. There were a lot.
I'm just imagining that you just bring out a board game and then, as Quinn said, someone opening it for the first time and all these small ducks start to spill out of the box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you said pretty much a 6-person party, social event. That's the good.
I think it could be anywhere from 2 to 6 or maybe even more than that, but yeah.
Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to mention about that game? Or
It's just very cute.
The board game I wanted to talk about today is not so much a party game. It's a very competitive, cutthroat type of game. Settlers of Catan. Settlers is a very famous game, and for the base game, you can play 3 to 4 players. And as the name suggests, players take the role of settlers, establishing towns on the island of Catan. The goal of the game is to achieve 10 victory points, and you can achieve these in various different ways, the main one being build towns across the island. And the way that you build these towns is you collect resources from the map. There's 5 resources. You can collect brick, rock, sheep, wheat, and ore. The other ways that you can score points is you can turn these towns into cities. They have a mechanic where you can draw development cards, which are basically a deck of random cards that do various things like steal resources from other players, and also have special victory points that are in that development card deck. And the game is just like famously competitive. It's like kind of like Mario Party, where it's like when you start the night, everyone's like having a good time, but by the end, everyone has gone through just like diplomacy and like just roguish tactics, and everyone wants to kill each other.
The most contentious I've seen board games have been like playing. A friend of mine, his family are big into Catan, and they introduced me to it, and I spent a week with them one time, and we played maybe like 10-15 games of Catan.
It's too many.
It was a lot, yeah. And then, I played just the other week with my roommate and one of his friends, and I won in like half an hour because they both had settlements on 8s. This is how you get resources. You roll 2 die, and then whatever number comes up, whoever has settlements on those get the resources. So 8s and 6s are the most likely. 7 doesn't give you any resources. And I was on 6s, they were on 8s, and we only rolled 6s the whole time. And their 8s
weird.
never came up. And I ended up winning, and they were very mad. But that's the thing with Catan, is it's like a game of strategy, but ultimately luck is what is, and that's why people I think get so mad, because they're just like, if my number comes up, then I win. And,
2 things I wanted to quickly mention about Catan, going off of that, is that it's what's called a European-style board game, and it's actually a great introduction to this whole subgenre. European-style board games are kind of known for, besides being competitive, there's no like player elimination. Every player plays till the very end, and it's all about kind of resource management too. So another really popular one that we also have is Ticket to Ride. One thing I wanted to mention about Catan before I pass the mic is that so there's like a lot of expansions for the game and spin-offs as well. One of the spin-offs we have here is Catan Junior, which is on the 2nd floor, and that's aimed for children in the age range of 6 to 12. And I've never played it myself, but the expansion I do recommend, which you can find at other libraries, is one called Seafarers. And it basically increases the map of Catan to include oceans, other islands. You can build boats in the game. And you can theoretically add any number of the Seafarer expansions and do like a massive like civilization-style map if you really wanted to.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
That's like an all-day board game.
No, yeah, it could, yeah. The base game itself, I find it in the bottom, probably like medium difficulty to learn, but time-wise, it's all over the place, depending on how the dice is rolled. It could be anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember getting tunnel vision and wanting to get longest road like every time.
Yes.
But yeah, I remember Catan was probably one of the first games I played where I realized I can't do everything that I want. And my playing style is like I really enjoy dabbling in every part of it. And here you do have to like sacrifice some aspect in order to get points somewhere.
Especially depending on how the first 2 settlements are put down, yeah. Because you might not get all the resources, yeah. But
I mean, I think for a lot of people, Catan is like the gateway to hobbyist board games and like crunchier board games. Same with Ticket to Ride. And I do think it is a great sort of like simple introducing mechanics of like resource management, development, as far as, a lot of games will have you building roads or building settlements, and those cost resources. This includes games like Ticket to Ride that other people that is like sort of their gateway into the hobby. And like you're saying, I think it's great. These are good places to start because they're so storied and have so many expansions that even if this is like the only game you end up liking in, sort of the board games beyond like mass-produced games, there is a lot of like meat there to get into. So I think that's like always a great place to start with something like Catan or Ticket to Ride. Mm-hmm. Some people, and like I mentioned a little bit ago, it can be a point of contention, and that is all depending on who you're playing games with. My cousin, we would play Risk growing up, and he was the youngest, and we'd all gang up on him, and he'd eventually flip the board, and that happened every time. Because we would, gang up on him. So there is a style of game that I personally, it's quickly becoming my preferred game genre, depending on who I'm with. But co-op board games are a huge thing now and have been for the last, 20 years or so. But it's a little hidden behind the Catans and the Ticket to Rides. You get to a game that I think is sort of the entry point to this part of board game is Pandemic. That is a game that has you and the other players working as a team to fight off diseases that are emerging across the world. So you get a card that gives you've got one special ability, everybody else has a special ability, and each turn you have a set of actions that you can take, whether that's moving, getting rid of a disease, researching a cure. And then you have a deck. A lot of times it's called a threat deck that dictates what the game does. So it's sort of like you're playing against an analog computer. You shuffle a deck, you flip the top card over, and it tells you what diseases proliferate, where they do, and then depending on how many disease cubes are in there, that dictates what happens next. So if you reach a threshold, it's there's gonna be a mass outbreak and whatever. That game came out, I want to say, in 2005-ish, and there's a lot of expansions for that as well. Other games, I think by the same game developer, I just refer to as the Forbidden series of games, and they're a bit lighter than Pandemic in that they just come in a smaller box. It's a tile game, so you have randomized tiles that you're playing on, which is a style of game you'll come across a lot if you decide to get into the hobby. And it's a similar thing, but a little more streamlined than Pandemic, where you have a role, you have a special ability, you're trying to clear off a map, and in the Forbidden games, you're trying to find pieces to a broken ship or airplane, something like that, to escape whatever environment you find yourself in. So that, I've had a lot of fun playing that. And I like those games because you're not directly in opposition to who you're with. It's more of a team building exercise, and it's a lot of fun to sort of strategize and table talk. I've never gotten in a fight playing Pandemic. So if that's something you're looking for, there's also mixed co-op games like Betrayal at the House on the Hill that starts out as a co-op game, and then at one point someone is revealed to be, you're in a haunted house, to be the ghost or the alien or the werewolf or whoever, and that's all dependent on what room you're in and what cards are in play. That Betrayal at the House on the Hill, I believe we also have that in our collection. That was sort of my after Catan. That was the first crunchy game that I played that has elements of RPGs, that has sort of these more complex game mechanics. That's a very fun one. And then there are games that I would describe as forced co-op. Root is one where it's a very complex game. You have asymmetrical abilities, and depending on who you're playing, you either want to help people or hurt people. That game can be, I've only ever played online because it is an inexpensive game, but it is available through the library. I don't think we have a copy, but other libraries in our consortium do, so your Displays card would be able to get you those. But yeah, so Pandemic, Forbidden series, so Sky, Island, Jungle, if you want to play total co-op, Betrayal at the House on the Hill if you want to play mixed co-op, and then something like Root, or even a classic war game like Risk, where there is sort of resource trading and negotiating. Those are all games I would point you to.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention is that with like a competitive games, the replay value kind of comes out of who you're playing against, because everyone has their own like strategies and style of play. With a lot of these co-op games, they often have like difficulty settings that you can adjust to, which makes them very replayable. And Betrayal in particular has a really cool mechanic where, as you kind of mentioned, one person is revealed as the traitor. The traitor, when he's revealed, it's one of 50 different monsters, depending on how the reveal comes across. And I've played Betrayal so many times, and I have not seen all 50 monsters.
And there's expansions, too.
Yeah.
And a lot of these games have like legacy versions now too.
Oh, yeah.
So for a while I was playing Pandemic Legacy until the actual pandemic happened, and I'm like, I'm going to take a break.
Yeah,
Me
I put that
too,
one away
and the
for a
same
few
thing
years.
happened. We got soured on it.
Yeah. But those are really fun because if you really like a game that you check out from the library, you can go and buy that copy, and then it's like you have kind of like a built-in time with your friends to be like, let's get together and do the next chapter of this game. So I know there's a Legacy of Pandemic, and I think there's one of Betrayal as well. But that's like another really popular style now. So it's like you can only play it once, but that one time is probably pretty fun.
They actually have you like sticker over things
Yeah.
and rip up cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for those
Feels
reasons, we don't
scary.
have that kind at the library. But
Yeah.
it's a great thing for like a group to do over multiple sessions.
I've never played the legacy games. They're like more story driven. Like, do you play it over multiple sittings?
Yeah, I think if you were really dedicated, maybe you can do it in a day, but that's like staying up all night,
Oh,
which
okay, yeah.
I'm not at the age where I can handle that anymore.
There was over the holidays, my cousin who DMs D&D campaign for me brought one of these, like, it was Lord of the Rings themed like legacy game, and that was really cool because it had a Steam key, so you'd get like a digital DM. So it was like a linear campaign, but then the digital DM would be like, place these tiles on the board, and you had these like different hex map tiles, and it would be like 401A, put that next to 101B, and then you're playing as like, I think we were Boromir, Gandalf, and then I was playing a non-canonical hobbit named Calaminth Took. That was like a support class, and that was super fun. But we played that for 8 hours straight on a day. I think the day after Christmas was the day that we did that, and it was super fun. But 8 hours, you're like, where did the day go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the first time it told me to rip up a card, my body just would not let me do it.
Scary.
And someone had to take it from me and rip it. Yeah.
Which one were you
For
playing?
the Pandemic Legacy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know, it is frightening. So I find that me and my friends play like the really long thematic games, and part of it is that like as we get older it's harder to sometimes get together to play the games we used to play, like Dungeons and Dragons. So these are like almost like RPG light games where it's very story focused, usually set around a property. And so I wanted to recommend the Arkham Horror card game that we have at our library. One great thing, if you want to play alone, you can play one player, which is nice. And I think it plays up to 4, but it really works best at 2. So it's a smaller group, and it's very much themed after Lovecraftian stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the base set, but it's another game that has a ton of expansions, all based on different Lovecraft themes. And really, all you're trying to do is survive. Like, you're usually meandering through a house, seeing things, investigating things, but also seeing too many things and going insane. So the goal is to just make it as far as you can and solve the mystery. But I find like these games are really fun because you can get together and like experience a story, and they have a good replayability. Another good one that we have in the collection is Dead of Winter, which is a zombie survival one where there's different survivors, so that always makes it fun because like it might be in our set. I should have checked. Like, one of the survivors is a dog with a cape, and he's like a hero dog. And then there's like the lumberjack, and then like the cheerleader. So it's all these archetypes that we see in movies, but you can play it over and over and over again. And usually things will go badly and you will die. But there's also a lot of other good games. I know we have the mini version of Gloomhaven, which I forget what it's called.
Jaws of the Lion.
Jaws of the Lion, yeah. So it's not the big honkin' $200 game, but it's the smaller one that you can play over and over. I also really like the Sherlock Holmes consulting detective games, which is you are the Baker Street Boys, which canonically are like these little kids that follow Sherlock around, and you're trying to solve a mystery faster than Sherlock, and I think going in knowing that you're never going to beat Sherlock makes the game a little bit more fun. But it's just super simple. There's a map, and you have a book of addresses, and you go to different locations and read what happens at that location. So it's a really, if you want to like dip your toe into a crunchy game, like that Sherlock Holmes game is really nice. But if you just want to go all in, the Arkham Horror one or Dead of Winter is a really, really fun one. But yeah, I like hangout games where it's just like, we're making brunch, we're playing this for 2 hours, and then maybe we'll play like another 2-hour game later.
I know with Dead of Winter, when I first got that game and I was trying to teach my friends to play it, it is pretty complicated.
Yeah, it is.
One aspect about it is that you don't play as a specific survivor. You can start with like 2 survivors, then
people can die.
Then those can die, and you're left with whatever survivors you picked up.
Yeah.
But what's like the complexity level of like Arkham Horror?
The card game that we have is probably like the easiest one in the series, and then like I think Fantasy Flight is the one who does all the Arkham games now. Then there's like a miniature one, and then Mansions of Madness, which is like block out 4 hours. Okay. You need like a computer or iPad to like DM the game for you. Like the box is huge. It has like 100 miniatures. It's out of control. So out of those are the games I mentioned, Arkham Horror is probably the most complex, but the least complex of the Arkham games.
And there's like spin-offs and stuff. I've got one of the Arkham games that is like mixed co-op where one person is like, it's a social deduction and one person is secretly a like fishman, and you're fighting like Dagon and a Hydra and whatnot. And that, I think explaining complicated games to your friends is always like, I've got it in my head, and this is like pretty simple. The game just tells you to do that. Every time I try to explain this game succinctly, it never works, and it ends up taking like 3-4 hours to play because it is
a lot harder. That's why I kind of like the card version of this. It's less pieces, period, but also it's just less moving pieces, and you don't need someone to be like, actually, no, that's wrong, and now we're all dead.
I have appreciated the video instructions on YouTube.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it is nice that people like make how to plays, or even when I looked up Arkham Horror on Fantasy Flight's website, they have a video on their website too of like, here's how to play. So it makes it a lot easier, especially for me as a visual learner who I need to like play it to learn. I can actually watch something instead of being like, what is this saying to me? What am I supposed to be doing?
Right. I also think the characters are so fun. Like the asymmetric, everyone has different strengths and weaknesses, and you really have to kind of rely on each other and discuss.
Yeah, those are always fun. It's like I get to play a little character, but I don't have to build like a whole character like in D&D necessarily. It's like, I'm the little scrappy teenager like running around this Cthulhu mansion. Makes it a little bit easier to buy into.
There's a YouTube channel that I really like that does very good like in-depth game explanations that because sometimes I've found that there's how-tos, but they try to be more succinct to get you to watch it or just sort of like not be intimidating. But it's a channel called Watch It Played. If they have a tutorial of it, it is always very thorough, and it might be, I think the one for Unfathomable, the Arkham Horror game that I own personally, is 45 minutes. So if you have that time to like really sit down and get to know, that is a channel I found that it makes you feel like you've played the game before. They do a great job of structuring how a turn works, how actions work, and I think that, for my money, has been the most like clear explanation I've gotten for games, especially when something seems unapproachable. It makes more sense.
I'm always in the camp of like electing someone in the gaming group to be the rules person, and then I like go away. I'm like, I'll make drinks, I'll prepare food, you learn everything, I'll be back in half an hour. And explain it to me like I'm 5. That's kind of my way of doing it.
One style I heard of for teaching is like let the game start before, when everyone knows like 50% of what they need to know, and it makes it a little more video game-like because you only know the information you absolutely need to know right now, and then when you come to a part, you learn a little more.
We don't have time if you want to talk about Tenzi or whatever.
Yeah, so real quick, these are games that we have one of them in our collection called Tenzi, but these are all games you can play with regular 6-sided die. So I wanted to shout these out as like very fun party games. This is something, my family will play around the holidays because it's really easy barrier to entry. Anybody can really understand it. If you've ever played something like Yahtzee, where you're just, rolling dice and trying to find combinations of numbers that score. So Tenzi is the one that we have at the library here, and that is called Tenzi because you get 10 six-sided die. And you'll draw a card, and it tells you what goal you're trying to hit, and then everybody rolls all their dice at the same time, and maybe the goal is to get all sixes, or maybe the goal is to, get alternating odd, even numbers, in a certain way or whatever. The card explains what you do, and that's a very fun game for anywhere from I've played with 4, I've played up to 8 people. You can really, as long as you have enough dice to play. Another one, and these are all games you can find the rules for online for free, so I wanted to shout these out. Farkle. It's also been known as Greed or Pass the Pigs, although there's an addition to Pass the Pigs where you have actual pigs that you roll, which is fun and different. But that's a game where you're trying to roll. You've got 6 dice. You roll them. You pick out scoring combinations, and then you're kind of like betting that you will be able to score all of the dice, and if you ever roll and you don't score, then you lose all the points that you've accumulated that turn, and that's sort of like a race to score 10,000 points is the threshold that we usually play. There's a few rule variations, but if you just Google Farkle, that's Farkle rules, there's a bunch of like free printable rule sets. All you need is a set of 6 dice. Another one is LCR, which is left, center, right, although I've always called it left, right, center. But that is a game where you play with 3 six-sided die. There's an official set that you get that has an L, an R, a C, and a dot on it. But you can play with regular six-sided die. You just assign like L, R, C to numbers. You start with 3 coins. Depending on what you roll, you either pass 1 coin to the left, to the right, to the center, or you keep it if it's a dot, and the winner is the last person standing with coins, and they get to keep all the coins in the center. So we'll play with quarters. You can also play with dollars or no money. You don't need to use actual money for this game. It's still fun. And then another one is Shut the Box, and that's a game that you can play with 2 dice. Again, there's like actual boxes you can buy for this, but they're not necessary to play the game. And you're trying to roll the 2 dice, use your combinations to shut one of these 12 in the actual dice. It's like a little flipper thing, but you can just like cross numbers 1, or I think it's 2 through 12 off the list, and you can split the dice. So if you roll a 3 and a 4, you can shut 3 and 4, or you can combine them to shut 7. And the winner is the person with the lowest value at the end. So this is another game that you can just like, if you have dice, if you have regular 6-sided dice, you can just Google these, and there will be free rules available online. Very fun to play at family gatherings. Have like a quick, easy game night where you're not getting too far in the weeds with rules and getting too crunchy. So again, Tenzi, that is the set that we have here at the library. Farkle, Farkle, LCR, and then Shut the Box. I just wanted to shout those as like free-ish, cheap games that low barrier to entry I've always had fun with, and everybody always has a great time when you bring it to a party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Left, right, center is played at pretty much every party.
So you say left, right, center as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten into this discussion because it is technically LCR at left, center, right, but left, right, center sounds...
That kind of makes more sense to have...
sounds better to me, left, right, center.
So do we have just dice that patrons can check out, or...?
I don't think so,
Okay.
unless you pick out Tenzi.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
Tenzi, I think, comes with like 60, like 40 to 60.
I was gonna say, I'm sure a lot of the games have D6s.
They all have D6s.
If you're like, you check out a game and you're like, oh, I have enough to play this game, but
Yeah, if you check out Monopoly, you can play it.
True.
Yeah,
Very
Yahtzee,
true.
yeah. That has a lot of D6s.
But yeah, I don't think we have like a dice set to check out.
Going back to like how-tos and like learning how to play, I would like to mention how that's everyone here on the podcast. We run board game nights at the library. They are once a month from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So if any of these board games sounds interesting to you and if you want to try them out with other people, definitely please consider coming to one of the board game nights. The next 2 are going to be February 12th and March 6th. And you can also go on the library's website and see dates for later months.
Yeah, and I feel like all of these games are usually brought down to board game night.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
If they're not checked out.
If they're not checked out,
Yeah.
yeah, that is a good point. Yeah.
If there's something that you want to play that we don't have, you can always make a suggestion.
And with board game nights, you can also bring your own.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that the library has board games to check out because board games are very expensive.
Yes, they are.
So it's
Shockingly
nice
so.
to try out a game before buying it, or if you're like, I really like this game, but I can't afford it right now, I'm waiting until there's a sale at Target, or I get my Games Plus gift card. So it's a nice opportunity to try things without spending $80.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, and please consider coming to Board Game Night if you're interested.